In a previous video, I showed making this inlay shape in the tapered section of the Pembroke table, and I butted up the ends of these pieces rather than doing a miter joint. Let's see if I can bring this up a little bit closer in the screen, and you can see now that I'm working on some miter joints in these corners here, and then a compressed mating joint in the center of the shape. So that seems to be a much better way than butting up these connections. It looks much better when they are mitered. Now, the way I did the miters, let me pull out the long stringing here. In the previous video, I showed bending the stringing around a stretcher here, and I was bending it around this 3/4 inch diameter down here, which is really too tight. Later on, and here was the result of that smaller diameter. It worked, but really it's too tight. So the next time I bent the stringing, I located it up here more in this size of the circle, and that turned out to be a much better fit for this 3/4 inch radius. So I used these pieces and then created a very small miter joint, and the way I do that is I'll just quickly cut a piece here. So the way I created the miter on the end of that is just to hold this piece flat on the workbench and then come down at nearly a 45 degree, as much as I can, to create that miter joint. Then test that out and work on trimming this and shaving off the back side to thin that down so that you can get this nice mating of the two pieces down here in the vertex. So these two pieces seem to fit quite well, and I'm beginning to then work on the miter joint here on the longer stringing, and fitting that miter up here at the top. And again, to make the miter joint here, I just hold it flat on the workbench and come down with a very sharp chisel. So let me zoom out a little bit and we'll just complete this inlay. Okay, about like that. And I'm a little bit too steep. I want a shallower angle to get a better fitting miter joint up there, so I'll just go a little bit steeper with it. See how that's a little bit better. And this fits down in the groove pretty good right now. And I can see I'm off the video. Down here at the bottom, make a little pencil mark for the trimming of this long piece. Use the chisel with the bevel toward the waist side. Cut that square and see if it'll go in all the way this time. Yes, that fits nicely. And here's another long piece, and it needs a miter at the top. So I'll set this down on the workbench and trim that end off of there. Test it. Ooh, that's tight. That's too tight. I'm going to just try to shave this down a little bit with a scraper blade. See if it'll fit in the groove a little bit better. I'm not taking very much off, that's for sure. I used the trimmer that comes with the Steve Latta tools at Lee Nielsen to trim that before, and then that little bit of scraping helped a lot. So I'm going to mark again. The miter looks closed up good. I see a little notch out of my stringing here, but it's above the point at which it'll be fine, because that'll all be shaved off anyway. And I need to trim that. And cut that up to the miter joint, and that will go. So we're ready to glue. I'm going to pull these pieces out and position them in a way that I know which way they go back in. That'll go over there. This piece, this arc piece, is going to be hard to get out of there. But we got it. All right. Now I'll get my glue. And you can't see the glue pot here, but I guess I've gone a little bit off the radar there. I may get some glue in here and put these little arc pieces in first. I don't think it matters which one. goes in nicely. Making sure that the miter is in the right direction, and yes, that goes in fine. I'm going to press that down with the handle of the chisel and then work on the long pieces. I'm watching that the glue gets down in the bottom of the groove. I can see the color change when that glue gets all the way down. And then fitting up here at the miter first, pushing that closed, and then squeezing it down in the groove. Ooh, that's tight, but it's going in, and that's in. Use the handle to get that down in there. Okay, get the other side in here. This is the last of all the 4 legs, the last inlay in the stringing. The next step will be working on the bellflower design. So the next videos will show how to start out with those bellflowers. Come on down in there, yes. Looks good. Squeeze it down. Roll it down. Okay. There it is, with some nice miter joints up there in the corners. Looks much better than the butted up joints.